Cent and Jaffa's orange grows. Microchips is us. iPhone cameras us. Taco salads us. Bodababamos us. Olive Garden us. White Claws for us. Sabra Hamas. Hasbara us.
Hello and welcome to Bad Hasbara,
the world's most moral podcast.
My name is Matt Lieb. I will be your most moral co-host.
And I'm Daniel Mate, and I'll be the other one.
Hell yeah. So excited for all of you out there in the Bad Hasbara sphere.
I'm especially excited for those of you who are watching, because Matt, you are looking...
What?
Harif, as we say in Hebrew. Picante, as some other language says. Kind of spicy. I'm getting George Michael circa 1987 vibes.
Yeah, well, so this shirt that I'm wearing, it's a button-down, like, denim collar
Acid
shirt.
wash denim.
Acid wash denim, so it's like light. And it's also missing a button. And because of that, it is a deep V now, and it's showing just a little bit of chest hair. Now, I don't want to, encourage everyone to just switch from their listening device to their watching device. But if you want to get horny, now's the time to check out the YouTube channel.
And I don't want to recommend that people do anything rash, like just switch their sexuality permanently and irrevocably, just so they can admit to themselves how desirous they are of you. But if you feel it, like I'm feeling it, we may need to be speaking to our therapists this week.
Absolutely.
And having some conversations with our intimate partners.
100%.
Because Matt Lieb, he's not just a snack. He's a snack bar, man.
Dude, I'm a whole freaking vending machine. That's what I am. Not just one snack, but we're talking Sour Patch Kids, Hershey bar, Snickers,
and those Welch's fruit snacks for the more health
kiddos.
Conscious.
Yes, exactly. A 2-pack of Pop-Tarts.
Nice spread, and thank you to Francesca Fiorentini catering company for the loan.
For the loan. I'm out on loan from my wife. Patreon.com/badhasbara.
Can we still do Borat humor now that guy's doing Borat again?
I can and I will.
You can and you will. Yeah.
We are reclaiming Borat. I don't care.
It's public property.
That he is a piece of shit. It doesn't matter to me because much like "Do I Make You Horny, Baby" was sort of reclaimed, ironically. Yeah. So is this. My wife it's no longer his, it's ours. That's
Correct.
what I say.
Correct.
Yeah. You can't have it anymore. Join the Patreon, patreon.com/badhasbara. We put out a bonus episode last week with Asa Winstanley of the Electronic Intifada, which is good. It was truly one of our best episodes, and it is behind a paywall. So if you want to hear just how good this show can be, go to patreon.com.
You can't have it unless.
That's right. Unless you pay just a little bit. And here's the thing. What's nothing wrong with paying a little bit of money? And shout out to producer Adam Levin out here on the ones and twos, which I know what that means now because you explained it to me. You explained it, and you has beard it to me, and so now I know it has something to do with. You has beard. I can't grow beard. So yeah, you can listen to his explanation on the bonus episode we did with Asa, and also today's episode is brought to you by a sponsor that was actually chosen or suggested by a Twitter follower of ours. Today's episode is brought to you by Gaza Great Minds. We provide safe tent classrooms and quality education to Gaza's children affected by the war. We also provide much needed professional psychological support by fostering resilience and hope. We empower youth, reignite joy, and contribute to rebuilding a resilient community. We will work against the odds and logistical challenges to bring hope and smiles back to their faces. So that's gazagreatminds.org/donate. Please donate to them because they are doing really good work within Gaza, and they need all the help that they can get. GazaGreatMinds.org. Daniel, what's the spin?
Well, today, on this particular day, I got a few things spinning. I just got back from San Francisco, so I got myself...
And boy, are my arms tired.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes I interrupt.
Yeah, you do.
Sometimes I interrupt with joke. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's great. Don Rickles. I got Black Alicious, the Bay Area rap group, just representing San Francisco hip hop. I've got Duran Duran here, Seven and the Ragged Tiger, because we're going to be speaking about someone on this particular episode who I thought might be the illegitimate daughter of Simon Le Bon, their lead singer, and I think a number of people have made that leap just based on the
last names.
Based on last names, but it is not true. But anyway, good album. It's got the Reflex on it, and Duran Duran. Now these guys have some problematic members, but Radiohead electioneering on the OK Computer album, because we are a week out from this
from the election,
and they go forwards, we go backwards, and somehow we will meet. And just on the similar tip, got Stevie Wonder here fulfilling this first finale for the song "You Haven't Done Nothing," which I will just now recite, and I mean this to go out to every single member of both of the major parties. We are amazed but not amused by all the things you say that you'll do, though much concerned but not involved with decisions that are made by you. But we are sick and tired of hearing your song, telling how you are going to change right from wrong. 'Cause if you really want to hear our views, you haven't done nothing. So
I love it.
I'm just watching both political parties like try to outdo each other at how just how distasteful and craven they can be.
Yeah. It's like a competition for who can be the worst possible candidate to lead people. It's a competition of like who can showcase their absolute disdain for the lives of Palestinian people, and just just mudslinging, two people mudslinging the same pile of mud. You know,
the incredible thing about it is they each give the other such opportunity. If you thought that humanizing a group of people that a lot of people in the world care about might help win you an election, the other side is giving the other one so many opportunities to dunk on them, and Trump had that moment with a few imams in Michigan endorsing him, whatever, and that was a pretty good, I think, win for him. But then he has to go and have fucking Giuliani at his rally at MSG talking about how I don't trust 2-year-old Palestinians.
Right.
And they're outdoing each other
in monstrous ways. They are both monsters. They are both absolute genocidal maniacs. And you know what? I love democracy, because those are our choices. Unless you vote third party, in which case, those aren't your choices. So that's what's going on with the musical spin. I love hearing your musical choices. At some point, I'm gonna have to showcase some of my records.
Hell yeah.
I mean, I don't physically have records, but I got a couple that they just kind of sit there because I don't have a record player. I gotta get one of those. You
got Bone Thugs and Harmony, the explicit mix. Bone Thugs and Harmony. Feel free to sing along to every word of this.
Yeah. And I've got the Batman Forever soundtrack featuring Bone Thugs and Harmony.
We could pair that with my Prince Batman album from 1990.
I love it. I wish when I miss the times when our artists mostly just did songs for Batman movies.
Seriously,
shit sucks now. Before we introduce our guests, I want to start off with a clip. Now, usually these clips that I play at the beginning are like some of just the most abhorrent Hasbaras that I find online, but this one is different. This one was just a moment in which I just felt, if you need a smile, if you want to see resilience, then you're going to love this. There was one of many buildings that were bombed out in Lebanon.
It's a weird thing to smile at, man.
Well, no, that's not the smile. You gotta just wait. You just gotta wait. You gotta let me. I just want to, for record, not smiling at that. Okay. I'm smiling at the results of that. Wait.
Wait, what?
What do I mean by that? There was a building that was bombed out under the auspices of having rockets, as they all do. That's the thing about buildings is you have to bomb them because there's rockets always. And there was an interview done in Arabic that I have to show you guys, and I did the translating myself. And so here is that.
Israel always claims its targets are resistance centers or sites with rocket launchers. As we know, you were the last one out of the building. What's actually in there? There are rockets. Take a picture of them. Here I am. I am the rocket.
This guy is the coolest motherfucker. I'm just straight up so excited for the setup to this bit.
and his body language too, as he sort of like strokes his own, just like, I am the rocket.
Yes, straight up, he's just going like, yeah, they found some guns. Gun number 1, gun number 2, bro. Just incredible. Oh my God, dude. It is, if you want to talk about what gallows humor actually is, that is an example. You see, it is when it is his building that is bombed out. It's not when you do the bombing. That's the difference between a Zionist and someone who actually is, what do you call it? Funny.
You've never heard an Israeli in a bomb shelter or one of these bunkers make a good joke.
No, never. It's usually just laughing at the death and destruction that they're creating. That's all they do. They don't do jokes. They do cruel commentary, and then they laugh because they think it's a joke. But yeah, dude, that was just, I just love it. The dude is so, let's not go off on Hinchcliffe. Let's absolutely not go off on Tony Hinchcliffe.
No, he says, let's not go off a Hinchcliffe.
Oh,
like
I got it. Got it. Yeah.
Hinchcliffe hanger.
Yes. But we'll talk.
I don't know who that guy is, but he sure made himself look fucking stupid this week.
Yes, he did. And you know what? God bless him for it, because I love that he's making a name for himself as the world's biggest fucking asshole, which he is.
And he may just very soon get invited. He might be the first invitee to the White House under a Kamala Harris presidency to thank him for the assist.
I know. Wouldn't that be fucking funny if this fucking election turned on Tony fucking Hinchcliffe, kill Tony? Christ, that would be great. But yeah, no. Anyways, shout out to that guy. I mean,
serious swag,
body banging too. Like he where's the lie? The dude is hot as shit. Big ass muscles, looking good as fuck. Where's the rocket? Right here. That's what I'm gonna say now. Whenever someone asks me where the rocket is, no one ever asked me that though. Okay, it is time.
Maybe we could start a new segment. Hey Matt, where's the rocket?
And I just point to my body.
Where's the cruise missile, Matt?
Yeah.
Where's the Scud?
Yeah, right here. I just keep showing my dick.
Every week.
Another
pretext for you to show your cock.
God damn it, we keep getting demonetized. I just think it's funny.
Sex work is work.
Sex work is work. It's funny when I show my dick. All right. So our guest, and we have a great guest, is a fantastic journalist and founder of On the Line Media. Ladies and gentlemen, and everyone else, please welcome to Bad Hasbara, Samira Mohyeddin.
Hello.
Looking
How are
good.
you guys?
We're living good. I'm missing a button, but it's making me sexier. How are you?
I'm good. I'm better than missing a limb.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, a button is replaceable. Limbs, not as much.
Anything going on in Canadian politics that can rival the madness down here? You're up in Toronto.
I mean, what isn't going on here? Foreign interference is a biggie. And, you know, the Center for Israeli Jewish Affairs asked for the Canadian government to strip Francesca Albanese of her diplomatic immunity when she's scheduled to be here.
Sorry, when you said foreign interference, by definition, I thought you just meant Russia doing something random and unproven.
By definition, there's only one foreign.
There's only one foreign interferer. When Israelis do it, it's just called constructive. International. It's not. They're not isolationists. They're not isolationists,
right?
They want to get involed. They want to lean in.
That's the thing about voting, dude. You don't boo, vote, and by voting, you just try to rig elections in your.
Don't boo, meddle.
Don't boo, meddle in elections. Wait, so they're trying to make it so that there's no diplomatic immunity for Francesca Albanese?
For the UN Special Rapporteur, they're asking the Canadian government to strip her of her diplomatic immunity. Because they might want to take legal action.
I was going to say
they might want to give her a parking ticket, like for what? What?
No, they want to take legal action against her for hate.
Oh, yeah. Well, if there's one thing that she's known for, it's all the hate criming and murdering that she's doing. You know,
fucking Zionists can't tell the difference between disliking something, and hate. A strong dislike for things on principle.
Yeah,
that's a good kind of hate to have.
Yeah,
and they hide behind this.
I mean, it's their whole thing. Their whole thing is that you can't make fun of me. That's illegal. That's literally that's how they roll. It is how they have been rolling for a while, and you know what? No one's really stopped them. So
well, Francesca's she's really taken a lot of hits, and she's paid the price.
Yeah,
I think it's hard for her to travel.
Yeah, it's very difficult, and she's just being lambasted. Her new report just came out about the genocide, so I think she's doing a bit of a tour. She was in New York, then she's going to Washington. From Washington, she's coming to Toronto, and so they're trying to sort of stop her at every little turn.
Yeah. It is, it's great that this is, at this point, the international community and the entire architecture of the international community is just going to be torn down because we really, really like an apartheid state. We just we just think we need this. It has to stay. So if that means there are no human rights, then there are no human rights.
And that is one of the long-term attrition style consequences of this past year, right? Like people have been saying it, that like it's not just that Israel gets to do this, but because they did this and because we stood by it, funded it, supported it, and now we have to tear down any laws that would proscribe it,
right.
and they're delegitimizing the rule of international human rights law entirely as an entire edifice. They're carpet bombing that whole apartment block.
Yeah, and it's just a big war on the United Nations in general.
Yeah. So tell me about yourself. You're
I love long walks by the beach.
Same. And so you're based out of Canada.
Toronto. Yes.
Toronto so that's not in Canada.
It is in Canada.
No, to Torontonians, it is Canada. I'm from Vancouver.
It is Canada.
And when Torontonians say Canada, what they mean is Toronto. And there's a center of the universe, right? That's how you guys think of yourselves.
Center of Canada.
Center of Canada.
I mean, it is right there in the middle of it. So you
Winnipeg's right there in the middle.
Oh yeah, no one knows what the fuck Winnipeg is. I'm from America. Canada is.
Shai Davide was just in Winnipeg. People know where Winnipeg is.
That's right. Shai Davide, our friend of the show, friend of the pod, was recently in Winnipeg, and you showed up. Is that right?
No, I showed up for Toronto. He was doing a cross Canada.
He's going across all the provinces.
He is. People are paying money to have hors d'oeuvres and drinks with Shai.
They're paying money to watch him stomp his foot like a child.
It's called Kvetch on the couch. Kvetch on the couch.
Kvetch on the couch?
Yeah. Ugh.
Well, as we said in the Asa episode, stop trying to make kvetch happen.
Yeah, straight up. So when you went to this event, you ran into somebody who I was unfamiliar with that I wanna play a clip of. Um, and maybe you can tell me more about this person that you ran into.
Oh, sure.
And set the stage also. Just what was this event, and
Yeah,
what vibe were you expecting based on the advanced,
you
Shai
want-
Davida is coming
Should
to
we
town.
set up first to the clip?
Yeah,
or do you
please.
want-
Yeah.
So this was last week. It was October 21st. Shai Davide was coming to the University of Toronto for a quote unquote Zionist rally organized by a group called Tafsik. This is one of those many groups that have popped up since October 7th in Canada. And they brought him here. And so he was coming to give a talk. They had asked people to bring their university-age students to the University of Toronto, which Shai Davide calls a cesspool of anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
And while he was there, he was comparing the University of Toronto to the University of Berlin and warning the 50 pensioners who had come to hear him talk about what was happening. And so I went there to cover this big event. I was expecting a huge turnout.
Yeah.
But that isn't exactly how it turned out.
You're telling me that the college kids that were called upon to march with the Zionists, they didn't show up?
No.
That is so sad. It's they were probably busy.
They were in class. They're
They were
good
in class.
students.
They're in class. Yeah.
Unlike
they're
the
students.
Arabs who never go to class, the
Yes, if there's
Palestinians.
one. That's right.
Sorry, what happened to these youngsters? Like these Gen Zers. We used to have like a punk rock ethic, a rock and roll ethic, and a rock star comes to town like Shai Davide, you cut class, you go,
Yeah.
you roll a doob and you
That's
you
right.
post up and you bring a blanket and
Mhm.
you have yourself a day and
Yeah.
and you it's a moment to remember. And these kids are so they're so stuff shirted and by the book and so
I gotta
sexually.
study. Oh,
I gotta
I'm too,
stu- so-
I'm
so
too
repressed.
busy to do a rally for more genocide.
I'm
Shut
too
up.
busy to go out and listen to some skinny whining
Child of a warlord.
child of a warlord
Child of a
stomp his feet and bitch and moan about
We were hoping.
how he's
we
not
were
allowed to
hoping.
harass students.
We were hoping for some stomping Shai Davide, but we didn't get that.
He didn't do his
We
greatest
didn't get
hits.
We are not okay. We didn't
That's
get
right.
it.
Yeah.
Now
that's his
for the
greatest hit.
Canadians in the room, there's a good stomping Tom Connors joke to be made, but it would be a little too niche for Matt.
Yeah. No, I don't
Something off the
understand
good old hockey game, the good
Yeah.
old not the
I
good
would
old.
say a bit on
yeah.
the nose, but I can't say that.
it. Sure.
Ooh,
But here is some video that you took during this event.
Ouch.
So, just so I'm clear, did that woman just look at you and say, it's the D word?
It's the dike. Yes.
Wow.
And she doesn't mean
She doesn't
stopping the
mean
dam.
Yeah,
No.
the thing in the dam, yeah. Wow.
isn't that just because you were wearing a T-shirt that says "I'm a Shai Davy Dyke"
It's
and proud of it?
bravo. I'm a dyke for Davidai.
Something Canadians can learn well. But
And she, in that part, is asking you, would you wear that in Tehran?
She was obsessed with my sartorial choices.
I can't
that
imagine.
day
What
and-
were
and
you
other
wearing?
days.
that
I was wearing this beautiful Hugo Boss vest and a button down and the jeans and my Doc Martens. And, it just goes to show that people have no sense or clue of what Tehran is like, what people wear, or anything about the country. She just thinks that, in Tehran you would be wearing all black and walking
Right, of
around
course.
like, only your
that's-
eyes showing.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Is,
Yeah, so this is, for those who don't know, that's Sue-Ann Levy, the Toronto Sun, which is kind of like a paper that you would line your cat litter box with.
it's like a Murdoch rag. Is it owned by Murdoch like the other Sun?
It's not, but
Okay.
it's basically like the New York Post,
Okay.
or the other
Except
Sun.
not nearly as good on the headline game.
I mean, let's be real. The credit where credit's due. The Post got great puns.
Yeah, I mean, Post would run Davidike. No problem.
Immediately.
I should be. Why aren't I working for the New York Post?
Honestly.
Why don't I write? My puns are basically New York Post headline caliber and maturity level.
If you want to make actual money, you need
Seriously.
to get out of this podcast game. All right, let's continue.
Can learn where must be tired or not. You're not judged by whether you're exhausted. We are all
Would you walk
exhausted.
down the streets of
It's
Tehran
about
like
whether
that?
you show up or not. And
Looking
you
like a
showed up,
butch.
and that's the important
Looking like a
thing.
butch.
Would you walk
she
down looking like a
herself-
butch?
Yeah,
Just
she
so
looks,
the-
she's pretty butchy herself.
She's kind of butchy herself, and you told us off air that she's in fact married to a Jewish woman.
She is Jewish herself. She's married to a Jewish woman, so she thinks that you can't be homophobic if you're gay.
I love that. I love that. That's great.
But to her, you can be a self-hating Jew if you're a Jew.
Right. When I love it when they say something that is clearly just self-hating, like that's a self-hating lesbian if I've ever seen one. And the idea that she's allowed to do that because she has preconceived notions about Tehran.
I have to say, I wasn't expecting this gay bashing when I went there. This is supposed to be the progressive crowd, the ones that tell us that we would get thrown off roofs in Gaza. So I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, just the roofs part.
Yeah, exactly.
So in terms of that, I do want to ask you about how this last year has been for you regarding that kind of turn. Now, obviously, with this podcast, we talk a lot about the American liberal Zionist who has since October 7th lost their fucking minds and have gone straight into just like being ethno-fascists and crying about it at the same time. Is that more or less what's going on in Canada?
Very much so. But I think to sort of point out the difference, I think that in America, there's more room to be anti-Zionist than there is here in Canada.
Yeah. Interesting. I wouldn't have thought that.
There is. That's the sense that I get just from watching the media, from watching the protests, from people talking here. And I should point out that Toronto is I think it's the third largest diaspora of Jews outside of Israel in New York. So this really is a ground zero for pro-Israeli work, and they do a great job of shutting people up, of targeting people. There have been noted WhatsApp groups of going after people who are anti-Zionist, making sure they lose their jobs, their livelihoods, their book deals, their whatevers, right? So you do get targeted in a severe way here if you are anti-Zionist, or even if you're just reporting the facts and the truth. That is not something they like either.
Yeah.
Well, just as an example of that, I mean, if you think of someone like Peter Beinart in the American scene, American Zionists don't like him. They try to ignore him. He's inconvenient for them, but they can't really deny him either. Like his bona fides in the Jewish community as a practicing Orthodox Jew, as a longtime liberal Zionist before he realized the internal contradiction of that and freed himself from that. I don't see people trying to shut him down as some kind of dangerous, radical, or extremist who doesn't belong. They may minimize his importance, but they don't demonize him in the same way. But in Canada, a friend of mine right now in Victoria is organizing, has invited him as part of a group that invited him to come and speak at UVic and at a local congregation. Caused a massive uproar in that tiny little parochial community of bringing this Jew hatred to Victoria and capo this and just incredible.
The vitriol is really awful.
It's really awful, and it's comparable. We were asking Asa about it in our last episode to the situation of the British Jewish community. I guess the smaller the community is, and the more monolithically, uptight the rest of the society is,
right,
the more conservative and line holding the Zionist vibe tends to be. And I remember growing up in Vancouver and just that it's as bad as it is here in the United States. It's much, much worse in Canada in terms of a stifling environment.
I try to be I try to be flippant about it and laugh about it, but it is, I do at times feel threatened physically. I mean, it happened at that rally. They all surrounded me. And recently the Israeli I don't know if you know this, but the Ministry of Diaspora Affairs has put me in the top 4 most anti-Semitic people in the whole of Canada. This is a place that has functioning neo-Nazi groups, but I was put on that list. So it does, they target really, really awfully.
That is so, I mean, who are the other
Ministry
three?
of Diaspora Affairs.
Yeah, so do you
Imagine
know
having
this
a
ministry?
No, I didn't know
So
about
this
it. It's
ministry-
crazy. What a
I do
crazy
know it.
name.
This
Yeah.
ministry is the same ministry that in June of 2024, a New York Times investigation showed paid $2 million to a Tel Aviv marketing agency called Stoic to create hundreds of fake social media accounts to target people online and target U.S. black lawmakers
Yes.
to toe the Israeli war machine's line. So they're not a very sort of, well-esteemed ministry.
And
but
what does that
they're
even have to do
very
with the
well-funded.
diaspora? I mean,
Nothing.
first of all, it's fucked up
Nothing.
that there would even be one, even if it did what the name says, which would be like, we're going to manage all the people who are unquestionably loyal to us all over the world and who make our war crimes possible. But now it's just about managing it, like it's the minister of externalities. It's like everything outside of here, we're managing. Ministry of the world. I don't know. Nothing cabal-like about that.
Yeah, I like the idea that the diaspora they're referring to is literally everyone else who exists. It's like, what's going on in the diaspora? It's like 6.8 billion people. You mean
this meeting of the Ministry of Managing Everything Outside the Wall will now come to order?
Yeah. Just call it the fucking protocols. Like these guys are just they're just trying to mimic as best as they can, like freaking early 20th century anti-Semitic screeds. They're just like, let's just do that. Sounds like a good idea, actually. But yeah, so you have been attacked by this ministry. You've been put.
Top 4, baby.
Top 4 is pretty sick. Like, were you a little jealous of the other 3? Like, what the fuck?
Well, they didn't number us like 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, okay.
It's just top 4. And the things that they pointed out, if you go to, it's a 12-page PDF. I'm on page 8. Okay. And it looks like it was put together by like a C- high school student. Mm-hmm. And the things that they point out where they call me anti-Semitic are a quote from that Israeli podcast, Two Nice Jewish Boys.
Famously nice podcast.
What did you say? Please don't.
No, I just quoted them. Just quoted them. I didn't even say anything. I just quoted them, and I said Radio Rwanda.
Yeah.
Then, for those who get that, right? And then the second thing is a photo of me, and I think it's. Oh, I can't remember the second thing.
Was it you trying Sabra hummus and going, ugh?
No, and it wasn't chocolate hummus either. It was, I can't remember.
Was it you calling Gal Gadot mid?
No.
Yeah.
No, it was something really
this lesbian
ridiculous.
Does not even appreciate
it was like a
feminine
lesbian
beauty.
for Hesby. No.
Lesbian for
Hesby.
That was something I was recently called. I loved it. Lesbian for Hesby. I can't remember. It's ridiculous anyways.
Yeah.
But the point is that it's not in any way anti-Semitic or even like remotely anti-Semitic,
Yeah.
And so
probably coming on this podcast is the most anti-Semitic thing you've ever done.
Probably. Yeah. I'm going to get really dunked for this. But the other 4 people were an Ontario member of the provincial parliament who's been calling for ceasefire and dared to wear a keffiyeh inside the legislature. Her name is Sarah Jabba. Another person that used to work for the Ontario government or did contracting work, and then and then a real estate agent who I forget his name, who again was quoting people. So it's a ridiculous list, but all to say that this has now spread everywhere, and it took about a couple of weeks for one Canadian media rights organization to reach out to me to actually cover this, right? No one else would touch it.
And how were they covering it?
They just got their bare bones from me, and they said, this is very concerning. So they condemned it. This is the Canada Press Freedom Project, which is tied to.
I thought you were going to say the Canada Land podcast.
No.
Such intrepid supporters of press freedom and
Palestinian rights.
And Palestinian rights.
No, Jesse hasn't been on this one. But yeah, I mean, it's another way of showing the chilling effect of this, right? People are so fucking scared. They're so shaking in their boots of having themselves be sort of mentioned as being anti-Semitic, right? The scary thing about this, because I'm somebody who studied genocide studies, is that anti-Semitism is real. But the way Israel has conducted itself in the past year, they have made a mockery of anti-Semitism. And that's really fucking dangerous, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, that's exactly right. They've made it possible for people to say things like anti-Semitism isn't real, and have a leg to stand on, because all they ever hear about that's in terms of anti-Semitism is just criticism of Israel. And so that they just naturally come to the conclusion that it is just like it's a smokescreen for trying to penalize people who are critical of Israel, and that it's not a real thing, which is incredibly dangerous.
And there are genuine anti-Semites out there sharing ostensibly pro-Palestine content, but these are not the accounts that upset the Zionists.
No, and they don't get on their lists, right? They don't get on their list. But just to come back to what Daniel was saying about the environment here in Canada, like on November 7th, the UN Special Rapporteur, Francesca Albanese, is coming here. And CIJA, who is the Center for Israeli Jewish Affairs here in Canada, went into Parliament and gave a speech saying they want Canada to strip her of her diplomatic immunity because they're thinking of pressing charges against her for hate. So this is the level of insanity that we're dealing here with in Canada.
Absolutely crazy. So, Samira, you are, correct me if I'm wrong, you are someone who is Iranian. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Sick. Now, a lot of what I've noticed in the past year with regard to people who are both Iranian and critics of Israel is that you're not only attacked by, these run-of-the-mill Israeli Hasbaras or, Jewish American or Jewish Canadian Hasbaras or, Zionist institutions, but also by a very new to me specific brand of Iranian diaspora who are have taken it upon themselves to be pro-Israel and in favor of war with Iran. Essentially,
it's a new Persian version.
Yeah, it's they're more Catholic than the Pope, or more Jewish than
you being gay, it completes the trifecta for that. I mean, how could you, right?
Yeah. So have you been in the crosshairs of some of these people?
Ooh, big time.
Yeah.
How far back does this go? What is this unholy alliance of
Iranian?
Because it seems to be a kind of any enemy of their enemy is their friend. And so
I have to tell you that I don't know if people know this, but the IDF has a Farsi page.
Does it?
On Instagram.
That's great.
You have to follow it. I'm obsessed with it. And the propaganda that they put towards Iranians in the diaspora and inside the country is really effective. Very, very effective. And the way that it's framed is that Jews and Iranians have thousands of year-old relationship. It goes back to King Cyrus, who freed the Jews. Streets in Israel are named after Cyrus. So that is sort of how it's framed, right?
Yeah.
And it's very anti-Muslim.
Yes.
Which, if you don't know, sort of, Iranians live under an Islamic republic. It is a theocracy. And the government in Iran, last time they did a huge poll, not the government, but this polling agency in Holland, they have about 20% of the trust of the population in Iran. I'm no fan of the Iranian government, but I also
20% is pretty good for a theocracy.
it's pretty good.
You don't need 10% to.
No, and when you have all the guns and everything else,
Right.
that you're good to go. However, the other thing that gets coupled in here is that when the revolution happened in 1979, the first person who came to visit Khomeini was Yasser Arafat. And so there is this photo of Arafat embracing Khomeini. He's like nuzzled right in Khomeini's neck.
I love this.
And that is what has stayed in the minds of Iranians, right? So I always explain it like this, that Iranians are taking out their mullah trauma onto the Palestinians, right? They blame the Palestinians for everything because Iranians don't like to take responsibility for fucking up their own country. We either blame the US, the Brits, or the Palestinians. It wasn't the million or so Iranians who were on the streets yelling death to the Shah, right? Wasn't us. So that's sort of the framework in which Israel pushes this propaganda and says, your government doesn't care about you. We care about you. We're not going to come and fucking bomb you into oblivion. And so you have a lot of these Iranians who, the moment you're critical of Israel, will say you support the mullahs, right? That's the binary. And that
you mentioned an anti-Muslim sentiment. There's also adjacent to that anti-Arab, right?
Oh, absolutely. In Iran, the two go together. That's in their brains. That's
because quite literally, Iran is not an Arab country. It's a Muslim country, but it's not Arab.
Exactly.
And what is that dynamic? What is that attitude towards?
So the idea
Arabness?
is it's dirty nationalism, right? I mean, if you want to look at it, it's a very perverse form of nationalism to say we are Persians. So it's a very Persian chauvinistic, Iran actually has a lot of Arabs living in the south, right? In Khuzestan and those areas, we have 10% of our population is Arab. Yeah. So they get shat on. And then, the focus is on Persian Jews, Persian Christians, Assyrians. Iran is actually a very multicultural, multilingual, multi-religious country. But these chauvinists who make up about 45%, Persians are about 45% of the population in Iran, they are stuck in 1400 years ago when the Arabs came and invaded Iran, right? And they Arabized our culture and they took our language and blah, blah, blah. So they are sort of stuck in that time period. And that's basically what it is, right? It really is a very ugly form of nationalism.
But what I find interesting is the fact that it's one thing to, go after anyone who you suspect of being like, in favor of the Ayatollahs and, for whatever reason, not saying that, that's right, but is saying that like, I almost understand it. What's strange to me is this activation that I've seen in the last year of people who are making a name for themselves as being the Persian Zionists. And we've seen a few of them, and one of them is going to be the focus of this show. The bastard daughter of the lead singer of Duran Duran, Elica Le Bon.
Oh,
now,
boy.
This is someone who we have talked about on the show, at least indirectly. We read one of her articles once. It was something put out it was the Jewish Chronicle, I think it was, and it was an entire article about how hating Gal Gadot was anti-Semitic and how, thinking that she's not a good actress, or thinking that, she can't play Wonder Woman effectively, is the same thing as being Hitler. And what I found interesting about it was, first, I didn't know who this person was, and then I found out that she's in this very special genre of influencer, which is being the Persian Zionist, and so you have had some experience Mrs. Elica. Is that correct?
I've had a lot of experience with Elica. And going back to your Le Bon thing, I thought that this was the daughter of Yasmin and Simon Le Bon.
Yes.
Because Simon Le Bon of Duran Duran is married to an Iranian woman named Yasmin. So when the whole woman life freedom thing was going on, I mentioned Elica. This is back in 2022. And I said, Simon Le Bon's daughter, said this. She jumped into my DMs and said, I'm not his daughter. This isn't my real name. So park that. I forgot about her. A year went by. And then October 7th happened. Mm-hmm. And I started covering, what was happening in Gaza. And she kept coming into my DMs and saying, you and I need to speak. We need to get on the same page about what's happening here, blah, blah, blah. And I kept avoiding her because I was seeing all of the sort of Zionist rhetoric. But I have to point out here, when October 7th first happened, Elica Le Bon was very independent Jewish voices. Mm-hmm. Let's come together. We need this to end. She was sharing a lot of that type of stuff, right? Yeah. Then she noticed that wasn't getting her a lot of followers, and she went full Noah Tishby,
Yes.
And so
I actually have some of Elica's old tweets, which I found on a subreddit called "Who is Erica Le Bon," which I think is fascinating. That people are just like, who the fuck is this person? Like some sort of Hasbara industry plant. But before she was a Hasbara industry plant, she wrote this. To people who say hashtag Free Palestine advocates are anti-Semitic because other instances of Islamic suppression are overlooked. First, that is a logical fallacy. Second, our government isn't actively aiding that genocide. That's the jurisdictional hook. Our money, our tax dollar equals our business. So that was
as recently as June 2022.
2022. Yes. Another
she
one.
was ahead of the curve on calling it a genocide. That had
what
not
happened?
become what happened.
Another Elica, let's see. The desecration of occupied Palestine is proof that people can be propagandized to believe anything that affords them comfort. Is that right? Oh, you don't say. Is that true? Yes, you don't get it, they cry from their warm homes while children are torn limb to limb. Yes, I don't.
Limb to limb.
Explain it to the decapitated 7-year-old hashtag Free Palestine.
Is this Nostra Labonis? I mean, she's seeing the future. I mean, not that there wasn't, again, not that this started October 7th, but it was not in the public conversation. Like you would talk about Palestinians being killed, murdered, displaced, but torn limb from limb, decapitated.
Yes.
Well, she has spoken about this though. She has said that her October 7th opened her eyes. And she said that to me on the phone. I'll get that. So she had been begging to speak to me. And finally, she said, "You're a historian." Because I have my master's in modern Middle Eastern history. And she said, I need to ask you some questions. So I finally said to her, look, I have 15 minutes between this time and this time. Call me. Let's talk. She got on the phone with me and after 2 minutes said, there is no such thing as a Palestinian because when they do 23andMe tests, it doesn't come back Palestine. And I very quickly realized I'm dealing with a wildly dumb individual.
Yeah, that is a super idiot.
A super idiot. And the combination of super confidence and super idiot is so scary, right?
I love it. She's like, does she think that states are DNA inventions? Like what does she think that
does she think that DNA is like encoded, like engraved with like
a little border?
Like bespoke, like a little monograph?
It's got a tiny little dot for where the capital is.
Listen, Elica, her real last name is Mojtahedzadeh. She's an ambulance chaser. She got her law degree from Pepperdine University. I don't know if she's ever used it. She works for this basically law firm and I don't know how any lawyer can behave like this online. But away from that, I hung up on this girl after about 10 minutes and she went nuts. She just lost it. Okay. Wow. Yeah. And then I started looking into who is this girl? She told me this isn't her real name. So I just started Googling her. It isn't hard to find this information.
Yes.
And I realized that this isn't her last name. The other thing I realized is that her dad was a professor at one of the most conservative universities in Iran. And you don't just get to be a professor there. You have to go through some serious checks, you know,
Yes.
and pass the Islamic Republic smell test. And so here she is, you know, shitting on people, calling them, you know, lovers of the Islamic Republic, etc., while her dad was writing op-ed pieces in favor of the Iranian government in the New York Times with a known FBI, with a known agent of the Islamic Republic, which the FBI charged and kicked out of the country. He was exchanged in that hostage exchange. So I showed all this to people.
Yeah.
And she accused me of doxing her, putting her family at risk, blah, blah, blah. And then wrote to me saying...
No, you're dead naming her. That's the thing. That's what you're doing, you know? Her last name is now Le Bon, which is French for Le Good.
The amazing thing is that she wrote to me, sent me a text on WhatsApp saying, the FBI is coming after you. I'm working with the Attorney General. Now, I don't know if Dum-Dum Elica knows this, but that's actually an offense. That's an offense that could strip her of her license to practice law.
Interesting.
Not to mention stripper of her FBI access clearance. I mean, she gets called into the office the next morning.
Yeah.
So
this is who you're dealing with, right?
Yeah.
This is who Dr. Phil is talking to.
She DM'd me as well. I realized recently. It happened back in right around the turn of the year, January 1st. Mm-hmm. And I did some kind of Instagram live, and she wrote to me in a similar tone of like, hey, I just want to reach out and make you aware that some of your talking points are tanky talking points. That's the word she used.
Nice. And
it's harming liberation movements in the Middle East. Now, when anytime anyone uses the word tanky, it's not going to go over well with me, because that's one of these conversation-ending words that's been used to slander
anyone who's on the left,
right? But it's anyone on the left, anyone who's to the left of the Democratic Party, and anyone who opposes the U.S. security state. My brother, in particular, has gotten called a tanky. Why? Because he has reported on the unreported OPCW cover-up story, because he questions the CIA line on Syria and Ukraine and whatnot. He gets called an Assadist and a Putinist and all this kind of stuff.
Right.
So I'm just not willing to engage in any conversation that starts from the premise of, that tanky is a useful term. And I said that to her, and she basically said, you know, I'm not Jewish. I'll never tell you how to speak for or against Israel. It's none of my business. But I just ask that while you condemn what you perceive as an oppressor, please don't uplift or sanitize or whitewash our oppressors. I never said anything about Iran. I have nothing nice to say about Iran. We have family friends whose father died brutally in an Iranian prison, who had to raise considerable amount of funds to try and get their mother out of there. The thing is, I don't know anything about Iran, so I don't talk about Iran. But she came at me with this concern trolling kind of attitude of, let's have a conversation about how you can do better at like doing your Palestine activism without uplifting the Iranian regime. And I just found it very, very strange.
Elica or Elica, I don't even know how you pronounce her name. Elica is a jargonist. She uses word salad. She uses words like Orientalism when she can't even define it. Right. She is a grade A moron. And I hope she watches this. Elica, you're an idiot. Because, and I'll tell you something else, with the fillers and all the makeup and the cleavage, she goes on Instagram and people watch her, and she speaks really fast, and she talks like this, and she says things that you want to hear, and she tells you that you don't know enough, and that she cares about you, and it really fulfills the lowest sort of basest, and appeals to that the lowest forms of humanity.
Yes. Let me play a little bit of Elica, just so people who are unfamiliar with sort of, you know, the way she speaks and the kind of content she does, so that people can have a sense of it. Here's one of her more recent clips of her talking about Ta-Nehisi Coates and his.
I mean, who is she to talk about him?
This is here. So here's this.
If you haven't seen this clip of Ta-Nehisi Coates on the Trevor Noah podcast, watch this.
Well, 20 years old, born into Gaza, which is a giant open-air jail, and I grow up under that oppression, and the wall comes down, am I also strong enough? Where I say, this is too far. I don't know that I am. You know, I don't know that I am.
Ta-Nehisi Coates is representing as an authority on this matter. Going on TV, talking about it on podcasts, even having written books. You do not become an authority on this matter without having done extensive research. And if you did the research, you would have come across the facts to debunk your position.
It's absolutely amazing. The most projection I've ever seen in a single clip. Like, the idea was she's just like, I can't believe this person.
Who is he?
He comes out of nowhere, and he all of a sudden he's talking about Palestine. He hadn't done the research. In my research that I've done in the last 7 months, from when I was at one point hashtagging Free Palestine to now, I've learned every single thing he says is a lie.
The audacity. You know, Hunter S. Thompson has a great line, and I always think about it from this time. It is the rise of the new confident dumb. Yes. We are in trouble. We are in big trouble.
Yes. I mean, it is just like that. That video goes on for 8 minutes, in which her version of debunking, which, by the way, debunking what? His proposition that he doesn't know what he would do if he were born a Gazan. Yeah. Like, how do you debunk that?
Debunking his empathetic imagination.
Yes,
his capacity to put himself
in other people's shoes
of other people. Yeah.
But also, this is a man who went there.
Yes.
Like, what are you talking about? Who are you? The audacity of an author who has written many books. You know, by the way, I have to point out that Elica now has a book deal.
Oh, perfect. It's perfect. That means every single line she says in there is a projection of her own shortcomings.
The other thing is that Elica was, when this started on October 7th, she was trying to push a reality show about herself. During the Woman Life Freedom movement, she was trying to shop around a reality show about her activism. Elica couldn't even find Iran on a map 5 years ago. Yeah. Okay? Like, these people they're crisis vultures.
Yes.
And this is what she's doing now. This is what she's peddling now. In a couple of years, something else will happen and she'll move on. You know, it used to be BLM. I don't know how far back you go, but that was what she was. Yeah, that's what she was working on before. It was BLM.
Yes, and you know, I will say that I don't know if she will actually switch over, because she's clearly found her lane here. But here's you know, so this is just a tweet from hers. You know, let's talk about the red herring fallacy and how it's used by bad actors to distract from their primary motivations.
And I saw that, and I just put
I see the resemblance, actually.
Well, because put up the previous tweet. Just look at her face. Just look at the puckered lips and the big eyes and the red cheeks. I was like, I'm looking at a red herring. It's mean, but
I mean, look at it. That is the reddest like of herrings. They look very similar. But yeah, it's like she's clearly found this lane, and it's so funny because you know, you do look back. You don't even have to look back that long. These tweets were from 2022, where she's talking about decapitated 7-year-old Palestinian girls and you know, and occupied Palestine, and talking about this as our government actively aiding that genocide,
and it makes us responsible.
Yes, and it's like, you know, I love that.
What does that say about you, though, that you put this out and then October 7th happens and you see what Israel is doing in Gaza, and that doesn't move you? I mean, she's so fake. She's as fake as her lips.
Yes.
She's so fake.
Well, Samira, but let me ask you something, though. Yeah. Because this woman life freedom thing comes up, and something in me does kind of freeze up or go silent because I don't know enough about it. And I know I've got my prejudices, and my prejudices are when the CIA is pushing something, when Hillary Clinton is pushing something, when Sheryl Sandberg is pushing something, when Gal Gadot is pushing something, when Hollywood liberal celebrities are telling me I really need to care about the plight of these people over there in that country that we sanction and that we fucking overturn their government more than half a century ago, and everything has been fucked up since. The official enemy, anytime I'm being told I need to get on board some kind of global solidarity movement against an official enemy, I get very, very, very suspicious and very reticent. I just kind of want to go quiet, because I know that I'm being played, even if there is merit to it. But I want to grant space to the possibility that, like, it's more complicated than just, I don't want it to be, in my case, the friend of my government is my enemy. Right. Or the opponents of my government's enemy are people I should just dismiss. So this woman life freedom movement, this is a big question for you, to ask any one person, but what's your perspective on, like, what do we owe a movement like that? What kind of solidarity, what kind of sympathy, how do those of us who have that kind of skepticism I'm describing navigate this, so that I want to be fair.
Yeah, let's put it this way. 3 days ago, when Israel bombed Iran, Elon fucking Levy, the biggest prick in the world, tweeted out a photo of the female Air Force pilots, Israeli Air Force pilots, and wrote "Woman, Life, Freedom" under it. Now that's disgusting, right? And I actually wrote, this is the moment the movement officially died. Israel has done a great job of co-opting this movement. There are murals of Mahsa Amini all over Tel Aviv. There are 3 huge murals of Mahsa Amini. Now, why the fuck would Israel care about this? Are we really supposed to believe that one of the biggest killers of women in Gaza is thinking about women, life, and freedom? Right. No. But as Iranians, we get fucked all the time. I mean, it goes back to 2009 and the Green Movement, right? The moment that the world or America says anything about Iranian struggles against the theocracy, our movements die. And they die because they get co-opted, the language gets taken up, But woman, life, freedom is a thing. Women in Iran have been fighting for a very long time for their autonomy. And more than 500 protesters were killed in 2022 on the streets of Iran. These were young kids. This is Gen Z. They had no hand in bringing this government to fruition. And they are fighting for their rights. But the way that some people in the diaspora, and I mean in the diaspora, I'm not talking about people inside Iran, because that just isn't the case, right? I'm talking about the diaspora, have joined hands with Israel is truly appalling. Yeah. Truly appalling. And they are under the illusion that somehow Israel is going to save them from the clerics. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's interesting because, I think I feel very similar to you, Daniel, in which, like, as soon as when that movement was happening, my first thought was, that sounds good. My second thought was like, why do I think that? My third thought was like, maybe I should ask someone who knows about it, because I have this tendency to from just childhood programming to automatically believe that any whether it's Iran or an Arab state, if there are women, protesting, they're protesting for their rights, and it's because there is a problem of, patriarchy and misogyny and whatnot. But then I have to check in with the racist part of myself that has been programmed.
The imperialist part, the part that's at the receiving end of imperial propaganda your whole life.
Exactly. And so it does cause me to take a step back and rather than immediately react. And it's, But
look at the way it fell apart. It just crumbled like a house of cards, And I've had a lot of talks with experts, political experts on Iran, etc., who said, all of these sort of very frivolous things were happening. Women in Hollywood cutting her hair, members of the EU Parliament were cutting their hair. Right. I mean, Iran had the world behind it. What happened? Yes, the regime there quashed brutally this movement, but at the same time, there was no political work being done on the outside. It was just Iranians getting together, yelling, death to this, death to that. But there was no political work being done.
Well, there was a little political work. They said, let's team up with the Zionists and
Well,
see if we can do regime
but I mean,
change.
even that, it's superficial,
Right.
know?
Yeah.
It's not real.
Yeah, and it seems so interesting to me because it's like if that is your issue as someone who's like you know, an Iranian in the diaspora, and you know, if that is your goal is to reinstate the Shah or whatever the fuck, or you know, that Prince guy. There's a guy who's like a prince
Who went to Israel,
Yeah.
went to the Wailing Wall, you know,
Yes.
and like that was a huge moment in the Iranian
Right.
the Iranian psyche. They were like, "Whoa, he's there." You know, his father never stepped foot in Israel. He
Right.
actually voted against.
Mm.
Iran was one of the first countries to vote against the establishment of the state of Israel in 1947. at the
So,
UN.
but if that's your you know, your geopolitical goal, it's so strange to me to see someone like Elica Le Bon, because it doesn't seem to in any way really be connected, because what she is doing is not some like 4D chess in which she eventually gets Iranian regime change. I mean, I could see how she would think that, but it's just being straight up a tool for Zionism. That's all it is.
She's actually a huge like racist, anti-Muslim. If you
Yes.
there are videos of her on YouTube talking about how, you know, pretending that this isn't all about Islam. Islam is what, you know, does this to women, and it's a disgusting religion under the guise of violence and all. Like, this is how she speaks, right? This is back in 2022. Again, you know, with the word jargon and the word salad, and jargon is shit, just bullshit rhetoric. But that doesn't, you know, people, I mean, she has an audience. She has an audience among really ignorant Iranians who mostly live in Orange County. Let's point that out. You know, this is a very niche market. You know, of LA Iranians.
Yeah, the second you make Palestine about Islamic fundamentalism, I'm out.
Yeah,
Exactly.
The minute you bring that in, it's, and she was haranguing me and browbeating me in my DMs that I minimize the threat of jihadist Islamic. Okay, now you're just talking war on terror gobbledygook.
Exactly.
And you're just justifying the genocide of an entire multi-religious people on the basis of your beef with.
Exactly. That's why I say this is all about Iranians vomiting their trauma onto the Palestinians.
Well, no wonder they love Zionists then.
It's so juvenile, you know. That's just the way it is, you know. And also, I should point out, it's also because they are a generation. This is a people who grew up under a government that was constantly browbeating Palestine to them. And they do believe that, you know, all of our money is going to terror, while, you know, they don't account for the fucking sanctions. Like, your inflation, it isn't just that your money's going elsewhere. It's fucking sanctions by the U.S., you know. So this is something that they're just sort of
So you're saying that not sympathizing with the plight of Palestinians is in a way their reflexive way of saying, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me?
Bingo. And that's the juvenile
I can
aspect
certainly
of it.
sympathize with the juvenile impulse to say, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. It's just in this case, I mean, but it's like, I'm naming in myself, like, just like their government was cynically selling them Palestine solidarity and probably some anti-Semitism too. I mean, you know, Arab governments will keep their people in line with a whole lot of different rhetorical and ideological dogmatic tactics, and demonizing the Jews and blaming Israel for everything. It definitely happens. I've spoken to my Arab friends.
It does,
like, this is a thing, right? But just like I was saying, okay, well, American media, American security state wants to keep us in line by demonizing all of our enemies, and I need to make sure that in resisting that, I don't just reflexively reject every single thing, and say, oh no, the women in Iran have it great. Now that would be idiotic.
That's exactly right. I mean, also, you know, as kids, we were brought up in Iran. Since the age of 4, we were yelling "Death to America, Death to Israel." That was sort of like the morning ritual, you know. And during the Iran-Iraq war, we would throw in a "Death to Saddam." but like he's gone now. So that, you know, that these were the things we were brought up with. So
I love
kids,
you love me, from the river to the sea.
with a great big hug and maybe also bombs.
Exactly. So this is the pushback that Iranians have, right?
Yeah.
Whatever the government says, we will do the opposite.
Yeah.
Fuck you, I won't Jew what you tell me.
Whoa.
Boom.
You're emotionally damaged.
So we're going to continue this conversation, but first we need to take a little break so that all of our wonderful sponsors can sell you guns. I don't know, it's programmatic ads, so please listen to these and stick around. We will be right back. And we're back. This is Bad Hasbara, and we're here with Samira Mohyeddin. How you doing, Samira?
I'm good. Peachy.
So before we move on from Elica, there's just a little bit more that we need to talk about, because I find her transformation into this, Zionist influencer to be so fascinating, especially from where she came from. Whereas we played
Manchester.
What's that?
She's from Manchester.
Yeah, she's from there, but also she.
My grandmother was from Manchester. Actually, I have Manchester in my 23andMe.
Oh,
if you
so
look
it's
on,
right there in your blood.
If you look on. If you look on my DNA strands, if you look really closely with a high-powered electron microscope, it says Mancunian in it.
Yeah,
they had 20% Scouse.
Yeah, if you look
Scouse is Liverpool, Adam.
If you look really closely, you'll see an Oasis album cover in your DNA. No, but before she was doing Free Palestine tweets, before her activism, she was a musician. She was a singer, and
auto-tune singer, yeah.
Oh yes, and I went online to see if I could find her music, and I saw she made her own Vivo page. This is the Elica Le Bon Vivo page, which, if you don't know, Vivo pages are like official music video pages. Those are like. Usually it's, it means you're signed by like a major record label usually, but this is 53 subscribers. Hey, listen, I'm not going to sit here and judge.
3.6 thousand views, Matt.
Yeah, it's not bad. Let's get into some of what has been going on in recent days with this election that we have coming up. We have a great, election in America.
Big party.
Big party. Everyone is they're really they're very excited to elect one of two genocidal maniacs, and there's a competition right now for who can be the most disgusting.
But one has a track record.
Yes, one has a track record, and one also has, but a different type of track record. Basically, it's a choice between two people that I think Americans are absolutely loath to put in power. So I want to ask you, what is the feeling like in Canada? Like there was a time when people, like when an election was happening, they would go like, I'm going to escape to Canada. Is that even possible anymore? Is Canada just also bad?
We are taking everybody in, but we have our own bloody problems here with the right and Pierre Poilievre, who's the progressive conservative, one of the most Orwellian named parties ever. And we have the Israeli lobby really doing its thing here in trying to get the progressive conservatives elected. So they're calling Trudeau anti-Semite. They're saying he doesn't pay enough to quote unquote Jew hatred in Canada. And so that's sort of what we're dealing with. But I always get people together to watch the elections down south because we just love watching you guys fucking burn.
Yeah, I imagine so.
It is a fun time right now. And I have to tell you, a lot of people here want it to go full steam ahead with Trump and just have it all crumble.
Yeah.
Let all the illusions fall apart.
Yeah. Accelerationist logic.
Yes.
It's tempting.
It's tempting. Yeah, that's the thing about I think in 2016 I could have understood the accelerationist thing. But now it just seems so clear that acceleration happens either way. and I'm not really sure what we're accelerating towards anymore.
Yeah.
Other than just kind of a reinforcement of what we've been seeing,
It's very scary, actually.
Yeah.
We're all really freaked out here.
No, yeah, of course. But it's been fascinating to watch both politicians just decide that there is no room for any kind of empathy for Palestinian people. There's no room for anything other than the official Israeli line, which is completely insane. And you're seeing just I don't know. I mean, let's start with here's some Giuliani for us over at Madison Square Garden during this Trump rally the other day, in which he gives this insane speech that somehow is not a deal breaker for anyone anymore. Here we go.
September 11 was our darkest hour. October 7 was Israel's darkest hour. They are our best friend. I worked for Ronald Reagan for 8 years. Ronald Reagan said, we have to be there for Israel always because they are always there for us.
He also said, Mr.
Stop
Begin, stop
Yes.
this Holocaust.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
With one phone call.
Yes. Somehow, Ronald Reagan, anti-Zionist superstar by today's standards. But also, I'm just completely just this framing of Israel as our best friend. In what way? I don't understand this, other than they are a colonial outpost. It's like they're our friend because they do the job that we ask them to do. They're our clients. It is just so strange.
Hamas is not there for us. Iran is not there for us. They want to kill us. And the Palestinians are taught to kill us at 2 years old.
Okay, well, hold on a second. Hamas is not there for us. That's a new talking point.
Yeah.
It's where are they? When we call them in the middle of the night, do they answer? No.
Yeah. When we have just broken up with our girlfriend and we need a shoulder to cry on, does Hamas ever pick up the phone? No. What, are their fingers broken from all the torture? Come on.
Yahya was never there.
Never there for us. He never once called to check in with me on my birthday.
They never come to our Congress and lecture us and try to get us into World War III.
Yes. It is just so funny. Hamas and Iran have not been there for America when we've needed them most to. And by be there for America, I mean have not self-destructed and allowed for us to do regime change.
Also, you've declared them your mortal enemies. What do you fucking want?
Why would they be there for you? It's so fucking strange. But
and he's also speaking to people as if, people in the Trump crowd or America in this election needs to decide, do I want to put my faith and trust in the Palestinian resistance group Hamas or the country of Iran?
Yeah.
As if it's a battle for our loyalties somehow.
Right. Yeah.
Well, that's a great paradigm. It's what a lot of Americans understand, right? Who's going to be my brother? Who's going to be my bro? Who's going to have a beer with me?
Yeah.
And most people in that audience are living in that sort of black and white world.
They don't like Hamas because you couldn't have a beer with them.
I think a lot of people in that crowd actually don't give a fuck about this shit. I think a lot of people in that crowd are very uncomfortable with this topic, bored of it. You could get someone up there talking about how Kamala is committing a genocide and they would cheer. You can get someone up there talking about how Kamala is not supporting Israel enough and they would cheer.
Yeah.
They're fighting a different battle.
They know their job. Their job is to cheer.
Just cheer, yeah.
Yeah. And I don't think Giuliani's hitting it out of the park with what they really give a shit about here.
No, absolutely not. But it's so clear how this type of dehumanization is like it's
normalized. It's
completely
Well, and
normalized.
it gets worse from here on in.
Yeah, and we'll continue.
They won't let a Palestinian in Jordan. They won't let a Palestinian in Egypt. And Harris wants to bring them to you. They may have good people. I'm sorry, I don't take a risk with people that are taught to kill Americans at 2. I'm on the side of Israel.
That kills 2-year-olds.
I mean, this is a big talking point, right? He knows what he's saying. A lot of pro-Israelis say, why doesn't the world want them?
Yeah.
That's a huge talking point for a lot of Zionists. They say, look, even Jordan doesn't want them. Egypt doesn't want them. Why should we want them? That's a huge talking point.
It's also a huge Nazi talking point during the fucking Holocaust and in the history of like
look, nobody will take them. Exactly.
European anti-Semitism.
Great. So
yeah.
Point to the Republicans for making it difficult for me to, even in a reactionary, petulant, fuck the Democrats kind of way, hope that they win. I mean, this kind of talk,
Right.
and Trump's, he's a weak Palestinian, and just the use of Palestinian itself as a kind of slur is so nakedly ugly and thuggish and violent that for a second it makes me miss the decorum and etiquette and woke bigotry and politeness of the Democrats. But then we go over to, I don't know, Barack Obama, and we get to see how he expresses his absolute and utter contempt for the lives and the hearts and minds of Arab people and Palestinian people. And then I'm like, I kind of miss the Republicans. Let's see what he has to say.
Yeah, here we go.
If you're a Christian and you care deeply about the abortion issue, I understand that, but does that mean you'll support somebody who seems to violate pretty much every precept of the Ten Commandments? If you are a service member and you're somewhat conservative and you're used to voting Republican, I can understand it, but somebody who genuinely does not believe in duty and honor and does not understand why anybody
This guy used to be the greatest orator of our time. And now he just sounds like Bill Cosby's like less jovial younger brother. If you like this shtick of thinking it,
spoon, why not put the pudding in your mouth? Let me be clear, JELLO. All right,
yeah, and this sort of concerned dad, concerned uncle shtick is so hollow.
Doesn't he go on to say though about the Muslims?
Yeah. I was gonna have a cut to that point, but
no, but I love the build up because that's really what he's building to. That's really who he wants to talk to.
Yes. All right, here we go.
How'd you do that? If you're a Muslim American and you're upset about what's happening in the Middle East?
What's happening? Don't name it.
Yeah, what is happening?
What's happening?
You know,
in the Middle East, which is massive.
Yeah. Somewhere in let's say Asia-ish.
Faith in somebody who passed a Muslim ban and repeatedly
which you upheld,
that somehow you weren't part of our American community. If you're an African American,
all right. It's just I can't sit here and watch him pretend to think.
He's like the uncle who's like, "Come into the genocidal fold."
Yeah. I mean, listen. Let's be clear about this. If you're a Muslim who's mad about whatever you people are mad about, why be mad at us when there's another guy over there who's also bad?
Remember when he did that bad thing that it's got nothing to do with this?
Yeah.
And also, what he's doing here is he's making it sound like Palestine is a Muslim issue.
Yes.
Exactly.
And that's a despicable move for a politician to do on the eve of this election, which he fucking knows his party is on the verge of possibly losing, not just because Arabs or Muslims care about Palestine, but because a whole generation, the base is horrified.
Yes,
and disgusted.
A huge percentage of the base is horrified, and you're asking a huge percentage of your base to essentially like suck up the genocide and vote for Kamala. And it's like pretending like that's not a big ask is so fucking insane to me. Like as if that is, it is like this idea of like, oh, come on, man. Like there's other issues going on. And it's like,
someone's got to run this genocide. Do you want it to be from a guy?
Yeah. Do you want it to be someone who's nice or someone who's mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he
takes
takes another.
You don't want to have a psychopath running a genocide, do you? Yeah. Like these guys are just, they're absolutely so tone deaf. And it's because they refuse to move outside of this, the Israel's party line. Like they go like, no, we're not moving outside of support for Israel because they've made this calculation. I don't know what this calculation is or what it's based on, but the calculation is that people don't care about this. And our moneyed interests will care about this. AIPAC will care about this. So, you know, we're just going to be pro-genocide, but do it with, you know, some tears in our eyes, which is like,
I think what Daniel said is really important, though, that they sort of
frame
this
by definition, Samira. If I said it, it's important.
That's
I think what I said was really important too.
No, but the way he pointed out that this is made into a Muslim issue. If Kamala Harris loses, guess who's going to get all the shit?
No.
Right?
That's right.
It's the community that has been under attack, you know, since 9/11, but really, you know, getting stabbed and getting shot and all that since a year ago. So that's the community that's going to be blamed, right?
Yeah. He presumes to lecture. Go gargle a glass of Flint water, you folksy motherfucker.
Yeah. No, and it's like we're sitting here watching as they're both in this competition for who's going to be the most tone deaf. And yeah, it is interesting too. Another thing that Daniel said that I think is really important, which, you know, doesn't happen that often actually, Samir, is you know, I understand why there is sort of like just on a purely spite-based level, you know, wanting to see the Democrats go down because literally how dare they? And I think what ends up happening is we've kind of a little bit forgotten what the MAGA side of Zionism looks like, and we've conflated the two a little bit. And it's not that they're any different ideologically. Like your blue MAGA Democrat Zionists and your MAGA Zionists are the same. They believe in the same thing, which is genocide and ethnic cleansing.
But boy, oh boy, are their manners different.
Yes, their manners are
one's very civilized. Civilized genocide.
Yeah, one's doing a civilized genocide, and one is being open about it. And
you can't take the other one anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. The other one is literally, you can't go into a single restaurant without them immediately being like, I'm going to kill someone if I don't get some fucking soup. But like, it was interesting seeing that kind of play out recently on CNN.
Mm-hmm.
Mehdi Hassan went on CNN for one of their, you know, bullshit panels where everyone, you know, yells at each other. And, I can't even, I don't remember the name of this guy. He's some
Gadursky.
Yes, Rudy. Is it Rudy? Is that his first name, or am I getting that
from the 1776 project?
Yes. Yeah. He went on and they had this exchange, which it's just fucking insane, and I will play it for you.
If you don't want to be called Nazis, stop doing.
You're called an anti-Semite more than anyone else at this table.
Yeah.
And people will sit there and no, by me, I never called you an anti-Semite.
I mean, I'm not sitting here saying I don't.
I'm a supporter of the Palestinians. I'm used to it.
Yeah, I hope your beeper doesn't go off. The thing is that
You should not.
No,
did you just say I should be killed?
No, I did not say that. No, I did not say that.
Hold on.
I'm sorry.
No, I did not.
The biggest
Wasn't
pussy
me.
boy. Yeah. No,
Did
I
I
didn't.
do that?
Yeah, me? What are you talking about? Like, the immediately being scared. The immediately, like, what? Stop.
What?
No. Huh? Like, this guy went from being, like, tough guy going, like, hey, yeah, I hope you fucking die. And then everyone going, like, whoa, what is...
And
why
he
did you
clearly
say
had that joke in his back pocket.
Dude,
Yeah.
he forgot he wasn't in the world's most genocidal group chat and was like, oh shit, I forgot I'm on CNN right now.
Yeah.
And you see the reactions of like everyone else where they are just like, Jesus Christ, bro. And he's just flailing this whole time.
On live TV.
I said I hope
Guys,
you don't.
let me just stop.
You said you hope my beeper doesn't go off.
Because you said I'm a big
Stop
supporter
right now.
Of the Palestinians.
Hamas.
Guys, let me
said
stop.
Palestinians.
Are you?
Am I what?
Are you?
I apologize.
Palestinians are not Hamas.
Ryan.
Like his immediate.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought they were.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. So what had happened was I heard Mehdi say the 14 words, death to Jews, I love Hamas. And I didn't know that he didn't say that. So I was talking about beepers. I just want to make that clear that I would only wish death upon Mehdi Hassan if he had said all those things.
I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I've gotten the pager beeper thing a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Since
that
happened. Are you carrying your pager? Do you have your beeper?
Yes.
You know?
It's a meme. And I think like it's funny because the people who were defending this, I was like seeing obviously, the usual suspects on social media being like, it was a joke or he's not wrong. He shouldn't have apologized. And they'll have like the little beeper, emoji in their username. And then you just ask them, oh, what does the beeper mean? What do you mean by that? And they are still cowards about it. They will not say, because they're at the end of the day, they don't have the courage of their convictions here. They are just people who they wish so badly that they could be brave enough to say, I just want you to die because everything you believe in is abhorrent to me.
Yes, and it's disgusting and it's vile and it's great that he got called out and kicked off. And at the same time,
yes,
it's
CNN.
See, it's fucking CNN.
Yes.
It's Abby Phillip.
It's fucking Abby Phillip.
It's Abby 40 beheaded babies Phillip.
Do we have Sana Said's tweet that we can show?
but we can read it.
Yeah, I've got it in front of me. I can read it out.
Please.
All right. So Sana, friend of the show, pointed out, with a much needed zoomed out perspective here. She says, this moment's going viral, but this is literally what has been said to Arabs and Muslims for the past year whenever they've gone on camera to varying degrees. The reason why Abby Phillip, who has spread and allowed vile and violent Islamophobia to go unchecked while repeating Israeli lies herself for the past year, checked him is because he's a Trump supporter and Hassan isn't a Palestinian and he supports the Dems. Whatever else you want to say about Mehdi, and I've had mixed things to say about him over the years. He's a stalwart, diehard supporter of the Democratic Party, and he's occupied an interesting place in the past year of like a heartbroken Cassandra type, warning the Democrats that they're going to lose the election over this genocide. Definitely calling out Biden and Kamala in strong terms, but still he is a reliable CNN friendly ally to the Democratic Party, and that's what Sana's pointing out here. Like that's the decorum breach. Yeah, that this MAGA idiot breached decorum, and all these libs are so upset about how could he say that to him on CNN. All of Jake Tapper will sit there, and Dana Bash will sit there, and they will justify Israeli atrocities and say, well, not all of them were civilians, or, well, at least the Israeli army isn't raping Palestinian babies, when Dana in fact Bash it's said, much more like the fact that this gives CNN a pretext to act morally outraged and like, oh, a line was crossed. We don't do that here. Yes, you do. That's all you do. You just don't do it like this uncouth,
100%
unwashed asshole who didn't go to liberal finishing school.
Yeah. Yes. Mehdi did say too in that clip, he said, good job, CNN.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard him. He said, good job, CNN. You put the brown guy to get killed. right off the bat. Yeah,
well, props
make
to
the
him for
comment.
that.
Yeah, he did say that. I heard
Yeah,
that.
and I think it's like it kind of serves it's the election in microcosm. I think it's just like the idea that like they would be outraged at this moment because they have a partisan reason to be, and you know, it kind of backs up what people have been saying forever, which was just that like if Trump had been president when October 7th happened and all of this was going on as it has been, which it would have, liberals would actually be sitting here pretending to give a fuck. At the very least, they would use it as a cudgel against Trump. And people, I wouldn't be having DNC fucking what is it, K-Hive accounts like trying to drag me for being, you know, pro-Palestinian, which they automatically assume is anti-Kamala. Like, I wouldn't be having that kind of shit happen. You wouldn't be seeing kind of the way in which they've not even like Zionists online, but people who are just DNC stands are just like, I'm going to just be a Zionist for the sake of supporting Kamala. Like, that is the shit that I've been seeing. You wouldn't see that.
Yeah, and AOC recently went on and on a stream, I think with Tim Waltz, she was like, I just don't want 4 more years of resistance bullshit under Trump. And I'd be like,
I saw that.
Fucking give me 4 more years of resistance bullshit under like, like be you at your
That's
best
it.
consistently.
Yes.
Not until it's politically expedient to shut the fuck and pal around with these motherfuckers.
Right. I don't want, it's like, I just want 4 more years of not doing anything.
Yeah.
No, but that's the thing.
I don't
when
want to
was
be in
saying
opposition to anyone. I want to build power, which means chum around and go
when
to
I was
Met
saying
Galas.
people here want it to crumble, people I've spoken to here in Canada have said they feel like if Kamala wins, then it's the idea is that everything's okay now, right? Resistance needs to stop, blah blah blah. If it's Trump, it'll keep going, which I don't know. The accelerator,
right?
is a good
And
thing or
from
a
the
bad thing.
and from the faction of the Democratic Party who said, in AOC's words, they were coming into power to bring the ruckus, not to the Republicans but to the Democrats. It's especially galling,
right?
Because you should never tire of resisting these motherfuckers.
Yes. It is, and it's ridiculous to claim that somehow, you know, the next 4 years of Trump, at least with regards to this issue in particular, will somehow be more egregious than what's going on. How do you get more egregious than this? And this is where I think, like, I see a lot of people where I do not fully understand where their humanity is, in which they, if you're not going to draw a line at a fucking genocide, then I really don't think you believe in anything.
There are no lines. You have no lines. If this isn't your
you have
line.
no lines. If this is okay with you, you have no lines.
I don't know. You guys need to be a little more trauma informed, a little more self-care informed. These people have genocide fatigue.
Oh,
okay.
I
And at a certain point, you just need to sort of step back and get some Epsom salts.
I do feel like the news is trauma dumping on me. You know, like I'll watch the news and I'll be
You
like,
need to stop watching it.
yeah, like I'll watch it and then, you know, I'll see a crying Palestinian and I'll be like, this is called trauma dumping, and it's actually a form of abuse. Child with no hands.
Yeah, the news makes absolutely no space for my issues.
That's just, right. Yeah. But yeah, it is egregious watching this go down. It's the impolite Zionist versus the polite Zionist, and the, you know, the third party choices are so appealing because just anyone who is against genocide, you're just like, sure. And you know, the idea that, you know, oh well, this is going to help Trump and all of that stuff, and it's like, well, it's actually not the job of the voter to vote because they want to help the candidate, or because it's not the job of the voter to vote pragmatically. It's the job of the voters to vote. It's your job as a candidate to get them to vote for you. And if you are making a decision to abandon a block of voters, you have to live with that decision. You can't be mad at people who are not going to vote pragmatically or as part of harm reduction. I hate this idea that we are still replaying 2016, in which we're going to be mad at, and in this case, like you said, it's going to be Arabs who bear the brunt of this if Trump wins. And not just the brunt of it from Trump, from the Democrats. They will be blamed. And anyone who's pro-Palestine will be blamed for this in the same way that, they would have blamed BLM, or they did blame, BLM, or they blamed Bernie in 2016. Like, it's just revolting. And I wish I was Canadian so I didn't have to vote.
Well, yeah, because in Canada we have a third
three.
party.
We have a third party.
And it helps everything. I mean, how's the old NDP doing there, Samira? How's the new Democratic Party?
NDP, I have to say, that we have some really great NDPers here. Heather McPherson is always sticking up for the Palestinians, calling out Israel in the parliament, and just trying to get. We just got some dental. We got some dental here. We got some free dental.
Well, you have health care, and now you have free dental.
Free dental
dams. No, for people over the age of 65 and under 18, there is now dental care.
Oh.
I just want to go to a dentist so bad. I guess I couldn't even if I was Canadian. So that's.
But yeah,
fine.
no, the NDP are doing what they can. And then we also have the Bloc Québécois. Don't forget about them.
Oh, I don't know them. Is that like the French separationists?
Yes.
The separatists? Hell yeah. Are they good or bad?
They sort of get in there and they keep everyone in check.
Oh, okay.
They're the power brokers between all the parties. So
I like it.
Yeah.
Well, badass. Yeah, it is. One thing with this, election season and this issue is just getting into electoral politics. To me, has always been a little disgusting. It's one of the reasons we haven't discussed it too much on the show, and it's because of the fact that it all seems so fucking hopeless. And I don't want to sit here and tell people how to vote, because I look at this and I go, like, honestly, do whatever you want. vote your heart. I don't know. Like, do what you were going to do anyways. I can't sit here and judge anyone for any choices that they make.
It also just feels like, I've never voted in the U.S. election, but it just always feels to me like it doesn't matter.
I know, and
it doesn't matter which of particularly when it comes to this issue, what difference does it make?
Yeah.
Which one is committing the genocide? The genocide has been going on. We're hitting 400 days now.
Yeah.
It's maniacal. Yeah. And it doesn't matter if it's Trump or Kamala. Kamala has made her position very well known.
Clear. Yeah.
We didn't play her clip from this past week of at the town hall of her saying, look, anyone who's seen the photos of what's happening, her and Obama both describing sort of vague happenings over there. There's just events happening. There's
shit's going
things
on.
going on. There's items, and there's events, and there's scenes, and anyone who has seen that, it's horrible. And if you know anyone who in your family who has been killed or who has died, that's terrible. But I also know those folks all really care about the price of groceries.
Yes.
And this is in response to a direct questioner saying, what are you going to do to stop the deaths of innocent Palestinians?
I mean, this is the choice that Americans have, on Tuesday.
The other thing is
grocery prices or death.
It's always framed as just that troubled region. Things just happen there.
Yeah, the Middle East. They always be fighting.
Exactly. And that's just sort of, they throw their hands up. They're like, oh, I don't know. I know it's our bombs, but.
Yeah. So I look at all this and I will say, to the, at least the third party voting people, at least they're voting. You should be lucky to get that. Any Democrat who's complaining about people voting like Cornel West or Jill Stein, I'm just like, you should be thanking your fucking lucky stars if you care so much about like upholding democracy. Democracy is at stake. You should be thanking them for fucking voting, because the idea that anyone right now would think it matters is wild to me.
I
You
would
know?
have voted for Cornel West. His wife is Iranian.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
If I could vote in the States, I would probably write in
Sinwar.
Joe Biden, Tulsi Gabbard ticket.
Oh God, we need to bring them together.
Tulsi.
Yeah, Tulsi Biden, 2020.
But
Five and a half.
with Tulsi at the top of the ticket and Joe as vice president. I think he needs another go at vice president.
Yeah.
He's still president. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's fun. It's so wild.
What's he doing? Who's making the decisions?
This dude is just on an ice cream bender for the last 3 months. Just like, now I can do whatever I want. Ice cream every day. Look at my son's dick.
They did him dirty.
I imagine he's looking at that laptop, just like, look at that hog. That's my son. That's my son. He's very proud of his hog. Anyways, that I think has been a podcast. I think we have discussed all that needs to be discussed. Samira, thank you so much for coming on Bad Hasbara and talking with us.
Thank you. It was a pleasure being bad.
Where can people find your work?
Well, that's nice. I write for different publications, but they can find me sometimes at the Globe and Mail. They can also find me on Patreon, patreon.com/onthelines.media.
Hell yeah. We will have links in the show notes, so please check that out, subscribe, and do all of the things. Samira, you were wonderful. Please come back.
Thank you.
Of course. Patreon.com/badhasbara and email us badhasbara@gmail.com. At some point, we will do a mailbag episode in which we read some user mail because we have some great stuff. And there's also very recently, I think we must have been put on a Zionist group chat because I'm getting lots of emails that are very much written by very old people. Who are very mad at this show for doing Hamas propaganda. So we will read those as well. They are fantastic. But please email us, badhasbara@gmail.com. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for listening. And until next time, from the river to the sea, fuck all the other candidates, vote for me. Write in Matt Lieb. Do it.
Jumping jacks was us. Push-ups was us. Krav Maga us. All karate